Hello, welcome to my channel. This is the series for special theory of relativity, and the topic for today's lecture is 4 vectors. I'm going to divide this topic into a set of 2 lectures, and today's lecture, that is the first lecture, will be about the introductory concepts that will be required to understand 4 vectors. Okay, so let's start. The first concept that we will understand today is nothing but Newtonian space-time. Okay, so in Newtonian space-time, time has a certain absolute direction, that is, time always moves in forward direction. Now, here we have a particle which is moving along this world line. Okay, and in Newtonian space-time, we have an absolute notion that the space is at a fixed time, which means that whole space is always at a certain instant of time. Now, since we have whole of the space at a certain instant of time, there is a universal agreement on simultaneity of two events. So let us see how. Let us take two events, this as event A and this as event B. Now, for each and every observer in this space which I have shown by a 2D plane, the event B has occurred first and then it is followed by event A. Thus, there is a universal agreement on simultaneity of two events. Now, let us see about the invariance in Newtonian space-time. In Newtonian space-time, space and time are considered as two different entities, and that is why we have two different invariant quantities. So, the first invariant quantity is the length square, which is del s square, which is equal to del x square plus del y square plus del z square, and the second invariant quantity is the time interval. So these two quantities are separately invariant, and that is why there is no such notion of combined space-time, and that is why in Galilean transformations there is no intermingling between the time coordinates and the position coordinates, whereas in Einstein's special theory of relativity there is intermingling of time and position coordinates. So if you don't know about this intermingling of time and position coordinates, I suggest you that you watch the first lecture of series special theory of relativity, which is about derivation of Lorentz transformation. Now let's move towards Einstein space-time. Okay, this Einstein space-time is actually known as Minkowski flat space-time. Minkowski flat space-time. We consider over here flat space-time because we are not considering the effects of gravity, and if we consider the effects of gravity, the space-time will be curved. Okay, but we are not considering the effects of gravity, therefore there is no curvature in space-time. Now in Einstein space-time, that is Minkowski flat space-time, there is no absolute notion of all space at one moment in time. Like in Newtonian space-time, we had all of the space at one moment in time. In Einstein space-time, we don't have such absolute notion, and therefore we can define light cones at every event. So these are the light cones. We'll learn about it later. So for now, let us only understand that if we have an event, for every event in the space-time we can draw a light cone in Einstein space-time. Okay, because there is no absolute notion of all of the space at one moment in time. An important point about these light cones is that for two events that are outside each other's light cones, there is no universal notion of which event occurred earlier in time, and this is what we call as causality principle. So let us see what this actually means. So if this is the light cone for event O and this is event A, which is outside the light cone of event O, then there will be certain set of observers for whom event O occurred before event A, and there will be certain event of observers moving relative to the first set of observers who will say that event A occurred before event O. Thus, there is no universal notion that which event occurred first. Now, let us study about the invariant quantities in Minkowski flat spacetime or the Einstein's spacetime. So, in Einstein's spacetime, we have only single invariant quantity which is given by ds square, and it is defined as follows. ds square is given as c square dt square minus dx square minus dy square and minus dz square. So, this is the time part and this is the position part. Okay, so we have two parts, the time part, I can't put a bracket over here. Okay, yeah, so we have a time part and we have a position part. Thus, if we see this quantity, we can say that we have combined space time in an invariant quantity, and this invariant quantity is called as the space time interval. Okay, this invariant quantity is called as space time interval. Now we will study about this space time interval in detail, but before that let us study in detail about the light cone which we saw in the previous slide. Okay, now let's say that this is the light cone for event O. Now how to draw this light cone? So I have taken here a one dimensional space, that is the position only along the x direction, and this is the time direction. So in this way the space and time are combined in Einstein's space time. Okay, now once I consider an event and draw the coordinate axis, that is t and x axis, around the event O, which is over here as I have shown by the arrow. After that I draw a line which corresponds to the equation of the path taken by a light ray. Okay, so this is the path taken by light ray, x is equal to ct. So I draw the light ray and I extend the light ray in all the four quadrants, and thus I get a figure of an x, I get an x. Okay, if I see all the four quadrants, and once I get the x, I have to just make the cone over here like this, and thus I can draw the light cone for a particular event. Now you can see that why do I call it a light cone, because I have used over here the equation for the light ray. Okay, now depending on this light cone and depending on the position of a point in space time, we can distinguish the point or the event into three different categories. So the point can lie somewhere outside the cone, that is here or here or here or here, somewhere inside the cone, that is over here or here, and somewhere on the cone, that is over here, here, here or here. Okay, now if the point is outside the cone, that is over here in the first quadrant outside the cone, obviously that point is more inclined towards x, that point is more inclined towards x, and therefore we have x is greater than ct, and thus we can call this point as space like point, because this point is outside the cone, therefore it is space like. Now if a point is inside the cone somewhere over here, obviously its time coordinate, it is more inclined towards the time axis than it is inclined towards the x axis, and therefore inside the cone we can say that ct is greater than x, and therefore the point is or the event is time like. We can say that the point is time like. Okay, and if the point is on the cone, then we have x is equal to ct, which is the equation for the light ray, and thus we can just call that point or name that point as a null point or a light like point. It is called as light like point because it is following on the path which is taken by the light ray. Okay, so this was all about light cone. Okay, now moving further. Now let's discuss this invariant quantity in detail, which I call as a space-time interval, and is defined as ds square is equal to c square dt square minus dx square minus dy square minus dz square. Okay, this invariant quantity, that is space-time interval, comes from something that we call as metric tensor. Don't worry if you don't know what a tensor is. I'll take few lectures on tensors further. For now, just consider that this tensor is something that you can represent in terms of a matrix because it is a rank 2 tensor. Okay, I'll take the lectures on tensor later, and for now, for this time being, just consider that this can be this rank 2 tensors, that is Gij, that is the metric tensor. You can represent it as a matrix. Now there is a general formula for the space-time interval. The space-time interval, remember, it is ds square. Okay, it is ds square, space-time interval, not ds. So this ds square can be given as gij dxi dxj, and gij is the metric tensor, which is a rank 2 tensor, and I told you that you can define it, you can consider for the time being to be for it to be as a matrix. And what does it do is it defines the dot product. Okay, because this ds square you can see as a dot product over here, that is we can write it as ds dot ds as a vector, and we can write ds square as ds dot ds. Thus gij is used to define a dot product. Now as I told you that you can consider it as a matrix, so in matrix representation this gij is given as a diagonal matrix, which is with the diagonal elements as 1 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1. And let us see how this relates to the space-time interval. So this positive 1 corresponds to the c dt over here, and this all negative ones correspond to the position part in the ds square. So this is the relation of gij with ds square, that is it is in some way used to define the space-time interval. This gij is related to ds square, and it defines basically the dot product between these two vectors ds and ds, and this is the definition of dot product that we can use in special relativity. But this gij also is used to define what kind of space we are in, and we'll not use this definition now, but sometime later when if we study general relativity. Okay, so this ds square is given by gij dxi dxj. Now here there is a summation convention which is called as Einstein's summation convention, and according to Einstein's summation convention, if the indices are repeated as both lower and upper indices, then you have to sum them over. Okay, you have to sum them over. So repeated lower and upper indices are summed over, and thus this ds square is given as g11 dx1 dx1, g22 dx2 dx2, g33 dx3 dx3, and g44 dx4 dx4. Now you can say that you can see that I haven't taken the off diagonal terms, that is g12 or g21, because the gij over here is a diagonal matrix, and thus we don't have any off diagonal elements. And this is the formula for ds square, which if we use this quantity for this values for gij, and dx1 as c dt, dx2 as dx, and dx3 as dy, and dx4 as dz. So if we use this relations and this matrix for gij, then we can get this formula for ds square. Okay. So this was all about the introductory concepts that are required to understand the 4 vectors, and in next lecture we'll understand what 4 vectors are, and we'll concentrate on position 4 vector, velocity 4 vector, and momentum 4 vector. So this was all about the first lecture for 4 vectors, and hope you like it. If you like the lecture, please like and subscribe to my channel and share it. Thank you.